Hey everybody, it's Chris back with another review for the Blue Collar Beer Gentleman. If you've never been to this channel before, the purpose of this channel is to prove that you can drink craft beers without spending a whole lot of money. And the beers I review on here usually come in around the $2 price range, such is the case with today's selection. I actually paid $2.29 for this 12-ounce can of Great Northern Brewing Company's Good Med Montana Red Ale. So there you have it, Good Med Montana Red Ale. Let's see. There we go. So there's not quite so much glare from the sun. Trying to do these at a different time of day because the colors are not always coming out very well on here. But the colors of the beer when I go to pour them, that is, this is a craft beer from Whitefish, Montana. Going to give you a quick description here. With its jutting peaks and roaring rivers, the Flathead Valley is home to some of the most renowned geographical features in Montana. Flathead Lake spans 27 miles and wades into the tip of the awe-inspiring Mission Mountain Range, a land of fresh water and clean mountain air. From our perspective, life here is good med. The beer. Good Med Montana Red Ale rises to the majestic and spirited lifestyle of Northwest Montana, created with the intent of celebrating the beautiful things in life. Good Med prescribes a striking balance between malty sweetness and a hoppy aromatics to produce a mighty tasty brew straight from the mountains. We got a 7% ABV and 53 IBUs on this, and this is unfiltered as it's explained here. Quick information about about red ales. First off, you are not going to find them at GABF. That is correct. Great American Beer Festival does not have a red beer category. And when you go to BJCP, which is Beer Judging Certification Program, if you're trying to find the characteristics of red ale, good luck, because they ain't there. Trust me, I just came back from looking at them. They're not there. I did, however, go to Vine Pair, and Vine Pair says that a typical red ale should come in between 4.5 and 7% ABV. This is 7% ABV, so there you have it. No indications of IBUs. That's the downside. Now, I did go to BJCP and I looked up amber ales, and amber ales typically come in between 4.5 and 6.2 ABV. This is 7.0, so it actually is a little high for an amber. And IBUs usually come in between 25 and 40. As I said, this one is 53 IBUs, so it's actually a little high for an amber. Here's the thing. Red ales are sort of a variation of brown ales, and like I said, there's no category for them at the GABF. You can find red IPAs. You can find red pale ales. I've discovered, but the thing about red ales is that they're sort of a subcategory in and of themselves. They're sort of spawned from Flanders red, as well as some of the porters that came out of Ireland. There's the Irish red. Now, if we're talking Irish red, I think you can probably find characteristics of those, but I'm not even sure you can find that, to be perfectly honest with you. I went through BJCP looking desperately for any kind of characteristics for red ale, found none. Um, Quick notes about this particular beer. I went to the brewer's website, discovered the malts they used were pale caramel honey, caramel and caramel honey, caramel and dark Munich. Um, the hops they used were cluster and willamette. The yeast was American ale, and it says this should be pouring a reddish copper color. The other quick notes from the reviewing community. 3 of my friends on Untapped have given this a score of 3.75. 4,081 of us have given it a combined score of 3.69. Beer Advocate has only had 3 rankings, giving it a cumulative score of 3.91, and on Beer Advocate's scale, that is not enough rankings to actually give it a percentage. Also, Beer Advocate's doing this weird thing where they're going from the 100-point scale to a 5-point scale, and it's kind of weird. Anyway, but it did get a 3.91, 3.69 from Untapped as a whole. So anytime a beer goes above 3.5, you know that it's usually going to be a little bit better than average, at least among the reviewing community, believed to be that way. I am going to be using my Porter Stout glass. The reason for that is because red ales, as I explained earlier, did sort of spring from the brown ale movement or the brown ale recipes. Um, so it seemed just like a perfect glass to be using. And if you'd like to learn more about which glasses to use for which beers, I do have videos on. Unfortunately, I don't have the knowledge of how to do the links, but anyway, you go to my channel and you'll see, you're going to see videos that have, that'll explain beer glasses and which glasses to use and why to use those and what the benefits are to them and whatnot. And I also recommend, honestly, just go to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate has a great well, not an explanation, but it's a full list of just about every variety of beer you can think of, and then an explanation or then a listing of what glass it should use. Actually, I should state that the other way around because that is how it is. Like it'll show pint glass and it'll tell you all the varieties you could drink out of a pint glass or something like that. So it's a great resource to use, and I, for one, am very pleased. I've never had anything from Great Northern Brewing Company before, but every time that we can manage to get a craft beer here in Vegas that isn't corporate craft, faux craft, as it were, I'm thrilled. So I'm really hoping to get more beers from Great Northern. I haven't even tried this one, and I feel confident that I'm going to be wanting more from them just because they're small and from somewhere other than immediately next door, which there's nothing wrong with California. I drink plenty of California beers, but I just like to see a few other places. Now, guys, what you're seeing here is actually, I'm looking in the camera, you're seeing a slightly darker, but pretty close to the color of this beer. And the brewer says that the brewer's website says that it should pour a reddish copper color. And boy, that's exactly what it's pouring here. Now, as you can see, that head ain't going nowhere. That is a nice, foamy, thick, resilient head. I'm a swirler, and that's the head still hasn't gone anywhere. Um, so I'm looking at, I'm going to describe that as medium high carbonation. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show you that very well in the camera. Unfortunately, that's not going to come through. But I can already smell a lot of, well, I smell a lot of maltiness, quite honestly. I'm going to do a quick beard wipe, see what I come across. Maltiness and red fruit. Red ales, I always seem to smell red fruit. I smell apples or, sometimes even stone fruits like plums and a little bit of peach. But sticking my schnoz directly in, I get lots of that caramel smell. Gobs and gobs of caramel. This actually kind of smells like an amber ale, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. But it sure smells like one, and amber is one of my favorite varieties. It's actually the first variety that I ever learned how to judge for beer judging certification. So anyway, I think I'm just going to quit yapping my flap and start drinking. My God, I'm 7.5 minutes into this and haven't even had anything to drink yet. Crazy like that. Mm, okay, yeah, wow, that is a really, I'm enjoying that beer. It's kind of honey sweet, but very tempered with the maltiness. I'm going to describe that as a probably a medium low mouthfeel. Not a lot of spikiness to it, but there is a little bit of a alcohol burn there. 7%, that's not entirely surprising. 7% ABV, that is. Not entirely surprising to have an alcohol burn. It's a very complex beer. I'm tasting, I'm definitely tasting a very sweet malt. Not very hop forward. I'm a little surprised with the 53 IBUs that I'm not tasting more hops, but guys, I'm reading more and more about how IBUs is it's really a standard of almost nothing. Um, Now, as this rolls across my tongue a little bit, and I'm getting some air on my tongue, I'm experiencing a little bit more hop forward. So I am getting it, but maybe one day we'll have a full discussion about hops and their IBUs and how IBUs can change from. Well, anyway, if you want to read about IBUs, there's plenty of blogs to go to and read about IBUs. But there are plenty of beer drinkers out there who say that they don't mean a single thing, and they may be right. I mean, more and more I read, there's compelling evidence to substantiate that. But let's get back to this beer because it is a really good beer, and I am enjoying drinking it. As you can see, that head still isn't going anywhere. I mean, it's very resilient. Now that the alcohol burn has come and gone, honestly, there's not so much of it left. I'm still left with the very complex maltiness and sweetness. Yeah, I'm tasting honey. I am definitely tasting honey, but it's not overly honey because I for one I sweeten my tea with honey. So it doesn't take a whole lot of money. It doesn't take a whole lot of money. It takes a lot of money actually, but it doesn't take a whole lot of honey in for something for me to consider it too honey. But I'm getting the flavor of honey in this, and I'm wondering if they didn't maybe use wild honey because it's sweet and yet tempered. I think they've just got a really good balance of malt and sweetness here, and I think honestly this is a hell of a beer. I really didn't know how I was. I I had no idea what to expect from this beer. I saw better than average scores, and quite frankly, I think everybody's being a little bit too. I think they're being a little bit stingy with their scoring. I, for one, I'm going to give the beer itself a 4.25. Those of you who watch this channel regularly know that I'm a big fan of canned beer. In fact, hashtag canned beer is one of my favorite hashtags. I love the idea cans beer. I think whenever possible should be put into a can instead of a bottle, especially nowadays. But I'm going to give this a 4.25, so it's going to get a 4.5. The extra 0.25 coming from it being in a can. I don't think this brewery's been around a whole lot, very long. Case in point, we've got less than 4,100 reviews on Untapped. So at least the beer hasn't been around very long. I don't think the brewery's been around very long either, but I definitely am going to be drinking more of this. And here it is once again, the Great Northern Brewing Company Good Med Montana Red Ale. So far, everything I've had from Montana, I've really liked. So guys, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, drink good beer and don't break the bank doing it. Cheers.